My earliest memory is of my grandmother's laughter when I was 3. And we lived in Chicago, and I stole her beer and drank it down before my mother got across the room to take it away. Georgia, Sweet Georgia on My Mind was on the radio. My mother was very upset, but I didn't care, because I liked the taste of beer and grandmother's laughter. Grandmother smelled like sweaty stockings and day-old beer. Every night I climbed into a sweet sleep encased in that smell and grandmother's thick, damp skin, big belly snores and covers. I loved no one more than my grandmother. Who are our ancestors, grandmother? I used to ask her, because I was hoping I had more grandmothers somewhere. She'd say, Casa Shaka Mutu. My mother told me grandmother was 15 when she picked the Chicago streets over her own child, who she sent back south to the home house. So I knew grandmother loved no one more than me because we were in Chicago and she was there to tuck me in at night. I loved my grandmother, even though she made my mother cry. Who are our ancestors, grandmother? I'd ask on rainy days or nights I wasn't sleepy. Kuta Makamo, she'd say. And I'd make believe for hours that they were visiting us. We got evicted because grandmother drank up 3 months' rent money and my mother didn't know, and that's how we ended up in Los Angeles, because right when we got on the street, grandmother's sister came by on her way to Los Angeles and me and my mother got in the car, went with her. Grandmother stayed in the streets waving, "Bye, babies, I love you." My mother is still angry about that, but I didn't care, because I knew grandmother would join us when the next great Annie car came by. 4 years later, my mother sent me south to stay at the home house until she finished night school. I didn't care, because grandmother was back at the home house too, and as soon as I saw her, I loved her more again, more than ever. Who are our ancestors, grandmother? I asked her, happy to hear her voice. Kabazulawi, she said. Grandmother, you said our ancestors were Casa Shaka Mutu and Kuta Makamo. You never said there was a Kabazulawi. This can't be right, grandmother. Who are our ancestors? She said, shit, gal, I don't know. That was a very unsettling moment. Why didn't she know, I wonder? Why don't I know, I wonder? I wonder why I'm crying. I am crying now. I cried. I saw my ancestors in the eyes of strangers sitting on the bus. I collected their stories on the bus in the creased faces, the bent backs, the blistered hands, the pieces of memory flicking beneath the black, brown, tan, yellow, red, white, beige flow of skin. The lilt and curve of languages spoken and silence. The music blasting, hair wavy, kinky, straight, curly, shaved. Gone doors swinging open, laughter strutting, broken, yelling, fists crumbling, smell, somebody's dinner rushing in from the streets. We passed closed curtains, weeping, silence, and smiles. Stepping forward, I saw myself. Who do they look out the window for? Wait to return home from work? Who are their ancestors, I wondered. I saw my ancestors in the eyes of strangers sitting on the bus. I collected their stories, created my story, proudly. My daughter is a beauty queen. So was my mother, except nobody told her. She was a singer and a dancer too, but at the home house down south they said, ain't no colored gal ever gonna make it singing and dancing in this world. But what about Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith and Ethel Waters and Florence Mills and Josephine Baker and Lena Horne and Dinah Washington and Marian Anderson and Ella Fitzgerald and Mahalia Jackson and Big Maybelle and Big Mama Thornton and Sarah Vaughan and Billie Holiday and Vern Baker and Gladys Bentley and Miss Snuggie down the street? Well, you ain't them, they said. Fear took a seat inside her, gradually replacing the light in her eyes. You ain't good enough, they said. And they hit her and hit her and they hit her to make sure she heard. You ain't good enough, they said, remembering all they had left of Aunt Vera was her grave, which Lil Tootie found bloody on the tracks last year. You ain't good enough, they said, knowing how dangerous it was for a colored girl to dream. I ain't good enough, she said, not really understanding why. I love no one more than my mother except my daughter, who I sent to live down south with her father and his home house people when she was little and I was learning how to enjoy laughter without fear. I know that my mother, she loves no one more than me, even though she never said it. I know my mother, she loves no one more than me because she put me on the bus, and there is no better place to dream than on a bus in Los Angeles. My daughter, she don't ride the bus, she gets rides. But we all, my mother and even the down south at the home house folk, tell her how beautiful she is and how she can sing and dance and do anything she wants to. And when she asks who her ancestors are, I tell her Missouri Kirk, Calvin Mitchell Black, Joseph Hadley Black, Georgia Anna Higgs, Georgia Lee Black. And I go on and on naming them. And I tell her, I don't know the names of the Africans, but your daddy's daddy can name all the names on that side of your tree, including the Indians and the Africans. My daughter, you see, gets to keep her dreams because we have made it so. And through her, my mother gets to dream again, too. Bye, babies. I love you.